welcome to the Business of Property podcast. I'm Simon, and I've been investing in property for over 20 years. And if you're an active landlord or planning your next property investment, this podcast is for you. I hope you enjoy this episode, and if you do, I would really appreciate it if you could tell a couple of other property people about the Business of Property podcast. It really does help to spread the word. So I am very pleased to say that Pam Mackenzie has agreed to join me again for another episode. So for everyone listening, this is a week later. For Pam and I, this is about 5 minutes later from last week's episode. So we are basically going to carry on from last week. So Pam has been a repeat guest on the Business of Property podcast from back in 2021, where she joined us for 4 episodes. And of course, from last week as well, where we talked through Pam's first HMO investment without putting money into it, or without putting her own money into it. Of course, if you could buy something without putting any money in, that would be quite good magic. But anyway, so we finished up at the end of that episode talking about some of the ways property investing has changed over the 10 years since that purchase and now. And we just thought we sort of carry on that discussion. So, Pam, you were telling us about some of the differences in sort of the mortgage situation and the mortgage fees, and the fact that buying with a mortgage where you add a 7% fee onto the mortgage basically means that you're betting on the value of that property going up by 7% over whatever the time period of that mortgage is, 2 years, 5 years, in order to just maintain your loan to value. And of course, if that doesn't happen, then your loan to value has gone all wrong at the end of that mortgage. And you might then be a bit stuck. So that got us thinking and talking about differences in mortgages. And I was asking about the mortgage that you got on that property we talked about last week. And you were saying that it was a 3.89% interest rate, I think. I hope I've remembered that number correctly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And that's obviously very low by today's standards. And I was saying, but I thought that perhaps it wasn't that low by the standards of 2014. So I said, but of course that was an HMO mortgage because you were buying an HMO. And you said, no, it's not. So how did you buy an HMO without an HMO mortgage?
Yeah. So that was the whole thing in those days before HMO licensing became before when you only needed an HMO license if it was more than 5 bedrooms and it was 3 floors high. So for this, it was a 5-bed HMO, only 2 floors. So we didn't need an HMO mortgage. So we just had a standard buy-to-let mortgage through the Mortgage Works. And they were quite happy with that. So we didn't need all this extra layers of, all sorts of things. Yeah, and I think it was 2019 when we had to get HMO. Licensing came in across the country, and then they said a normal 2-floor, like ground and first floor, a 2-floor HMO needs to be licensed. But before then, it didn't. So we didn't have to put in all these things. We still, all the new doors that we put in, we did put them in as fire doors because we knew that it was coming. But mortgages-wise, we didn't do. And in those days, there were so many differences. I'm pleased I started when it was simpler because it was easier to get into it. So during the years, we've had to upgrade all our doors. So the new ones we put in were already fire doors, but all the existing ones upstairs, all the bedrooms, were just normal doors. Mm-hmm. And the HMO officer had come round before 2019, just when we had done the house, and he said, no, that's absolutely fine, no problem at all. Smoke alarms, we only needed one in the hallway. We didn't need them in any of the bedrooms. The hallway and the landing, I'm not even sure if we needed one in the kitchen. I can't remember. But now you need fire doors, you need interlinked, mains connected, smoke alarms all the way through, and a heat alarm in the kitchen. Then the utility room, we had to, over the years, we had to fireboard the whole thing because it's got the electric meter in and just some appliances, and that wasn't okay. We never had to do PAT testing, before, so we've had to do that. Fire risk assessments weren't a thing. It was basically just like 5 friends living together. So it has changed hugely. And even if we had wanted to get an HMO mortgage, we couldn't then because it wasn't an HMO.
Yeah.
And not that house, but I don't know, the third or fourth house, when we were sort of getting a bit more experienced, and we wanted to buy it with an HMO mortgage, and they said, no, you can't. It's not an HMO. So there you go. It's changed a lot.
So when it did become an HMO, when the rules changed,
Yeah.
what happened to the mortgage? Did the mortgage company suddenly get in touch and say, you're on the wrong product, quick change? Or did it
No.
just not really become a problem until sort of your next remortgage? Or
Yeah, that's exactly it. It sort of was gradual. I know there was a specific date in October 2019, and that was the HMO date, basically. But the mortgage, I can't even remember, but it wasn't an issue with the mortgages. We somehow got onto an HMO mortgage, along the line. They obviously weren't that bothered about it. So, yeah, that was fine.
I know that you're currently looking at making a fairly new HMO purchase in Crawley. And is this a pre-made HMO property you're looking at, or is it another property that you're looking at buying and converting to an HMO?
No, so this property I was talking to you about, our first HMO. So we own that one.
Yes.
We own the one across the walkway, right next, almost next door. It's almost adjoining. And then the one just next door to that one has just come up for sale. So and they are all the exact
street.
Yeah. Well, they are all the exact same footprint. So so we've just been to view it on Tuesday this week, and we've put in an offer, and they say they've got a few more offers, a few more viewings on the weekend, but they will come back to us on Monday and tell us if we've got that one. So now this one it's just interesting to see the differences between these two. So
is it currently an HMO though, or is it currently a family home?
It's there was one old man in there, and he passed away, and it's been absolutely gutted now because it's just like an empty shell right now.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and it's on the market for 290. So it's so this one, our first one, was on the market for basically 190. So in 10 years it's gone up 100,000, which is not such a huge amount, actually. I don't think. I've got
it's a 50% increase.
So. Yeah, but I suppose, but like my properties in Croydon have doubled, in 10 years. So but yeah, so it's interesting to see that it's gone up 100,000, and the whole thing is that they're so similar, so it's nice to compare. So our refurb that I said was £12,000 back in 2014.
Yep.
Yeah, we spent money on the doors after that and the alarms, but not so much. But this refurb, our budget for it is 60,000.
Oh wow, that's a big difference.
Well, yes, and that's not doing terribly much. We will have to replace the bathrooms. They've got a wet room there, and things like that, and we actually do have to replace the kitchen as well. And I hope it's only 60,000. It could be a lot more, but we know we've got to do all the fire stuff, and as well, we know there's asbestos in the property. We've got to take that out, put in new heating, all those sorts of things. So, yeah, but to convert a normal house to an HMO, 60,000 is really, really not a big budget at all. It's really not.
No, I was doing a presentation and talking at Crawley Property Meet. I know a couple of months ago, 1 month ago, I don't know, sometime recently, and I was asking around the room for what would you expect to spend on converting a property, and yeah, I was really quite shocked at how big some of the numbers coming back were, and most of them were sort of £100,000 £100 plus to convert a property into an HMO.
That's if you're putting in all ensuite. So when we do our properties in Nottingham, our HMOs, those are the sort of budgets, 100 to 150,000. But in Crawley, our target market is blue collar workers. You know, there are people coming from abroad, and they're not used to ensuites, firstly, and they are just wanting to have a warm, clean, safe place to come home and sleep, and they earn their money and they send as much of it as possible back to their families abroad. So they don't want to pay a fortune so they would rather not have an ensuite. So this house that we are looking at, this new one, we'll need we'll probably land up with 3 bathrooms or 3 bath or shower rooms. I know the original one's got 2, the one I spoke about, but yeah, so we'll put in 3 because more and more people are wanting them. But none of them will be ensuite. So all 3 will be shared amongst 5 people, which is fine. But still, a lot of people will not want those rooms because nowadays they do not want to share a bathroom at all. And so fine, that's not our target market. You know, there are a lot of people in Crawley who have boutique rooms and they aim for that market, and great, let them do that. We are aiming for just a slightly different market.
I've been looking at universities recently with my eldest.
Oh, yes.
And he was very much saying, oh yes, I definitely want to get a room with an ensuite. And then as we've been looking around, it sort of dawned on him that if he's got a room with an ensuite, he has to clean the ensuite. Whereas if he gets a room with a shared bathroom in most of the sort of uni provided accommodation, not in the private sector, the uni cleaners will clean the bathroom.
Yeah.
And now suddenly he's changed his mind. He's happy to have a shared bathroom.
Yeah.
So I know you have cleaners go into your properties. Do they clean the bathrooms as well? Or is it just sort of the kitchen and hallway a bit and things? Or?
No, if they are shared bathrooms, yes, they absolutely clean the shared bathrooms, but not
there
the
you go.
ensuites.
So that's a selling point for shared bathrooms.
Yeah, but my one son who was at York University, once a month, I don't know what they had to do, maybe leave their door unlocked, and then the cleaners would come in and clean their bathrooms as well, just once a month, which he was very, very grateful for, and he never ever forgot to leave his door unlocked. So, just saying that. Yeah.
There's one university we looked at, and they clean the individual student rooms daily.
Really? Gosh. Yeah. Wow. I have to think how much they're charging for that.
Well, I'll let the cat out of the bag and say that it was Cambridge, and it's different world. Cambridge University accommodation, because it's actually not very expensive, and yet it includes all sorts of crazy things like cleaning. They provide things like laundry as well. There's all the laundry machines you don't have to pay for and things like that.
So that's excellent.
They don't do the laundry for you, but the machines you don't have to pay for. So it's very different from lots of the other universities we looked at.
Wow. Yeah.
But I don't know whether he'll get in there, but we shall see.
Oh, well, that'll be good. Yeah.
So, but anyway, back to property investment.
I just want to talk to you about the rents.
Yes, indeed.
I mentioned that the rents 10 years ago, we got in total 2290 for the 5 bedrooms. And that exact same house now, we are getting 2710. So in 10 years, it's gone up by £420 a month. And it's not very much if you think that's 10 years, 5 people. And the things that have gone up are the gas and electric, that's like 300 odd pounds a month. The council tax has gone up. The cleaner, we used to pay our cleaner £10. We now pay £17.50 an hour. Quite a difference. The gardener, water, it's all gone up. Actually, water hasn't really gone up very much in that house because we don't have a water meter. It's gone up a little bit, but that's the only house we don't have a water meter, and we're very grateful for that. But the one thing that has gone down is the internet, which is interesting. So internet prices were about, I don't know, £30 or even more than £30 a month in those days. and now it's slightly less and a much better service. But so overall, the properties, they're still producing a good income. They really are, which is why I'm happy to buy more. But not as good as they were in those days. And now as well, I'll only buy more in a company, so we don't have to have all the Section 24 and all that tax. And we shall see where we get to.
Yeah, I mean, very, very high level calculations, because my mental arithmetic's not up to anything more. But it looks like the purchase price has gone up by 50-ish%, but the rent you're getting has gone up by only about 20%-ish. Hopefully my maths is kind of right. So that doesn't seem to sort of match, really, does it? Especially when we've got higher interest rates as well. So that purchase price feels a lot more expensive too.
Yeah, I know, but and it is possible we could push our rents up. But I want to keep them reasonable for the blue collar workers. When you look online, like my highest rent in that house is 580. And when you look online, you can't find a house for 580. And dare I say, or a room rather than a house. And when I have a room become empty, I don't even advertise on Spare Room. I just put it out to all my tenants. Have you got any of your friends looking for a room? And invariably, half a dozen of them have got. And, I had a room empty in that house, actually. And within 2 hours, the guy moved out. 2 hours later, the next guy moved in. That's what the demand is like. So because I was mentioning before that during Brexit, demand really went down, but now demand is just through the ceiling. Honestly, it's and it's so high that well, I don't advertise on Spare Room because it's just too overwhelming. But when I did, I put the advert up for about an hour and I take it down because I've got too many replies, and you just can't sift through them all. So so long may it last like that. That demand is so great.
So you said when you first got your property 10 years ago, the one we were talking about last week, that rented really, really quickly.
Yeah.
So do you think now demand is even higher than back then?
It's probably the same. But the thing is that in those days we had more affluent, comparatively, tenants than what we've got now. Now we've got the cleaners and the carers and that sort of thing because the EasyJet aircrew all want ensuite rooms nowadays, which is fine. It doesn't bother me at all. Yeah, but so I don't. Those sort of people, that's they won't even apply for my rooms. Because they apply for ensuite rooms. So I don't know, but really demand is very, very, very good at the moment. It really is. I know it won't always be like that. There'll be another COVID Brexit something around the corner, but while it lasts, it's good. It makes us good cash flow, and why not? Might as well carry on, even though it is lower than it was. It's still fine.
So you mentioned last week that the property was making about £1,000 a month with the increased rent, but also the increased costs. Is it still making sort of around £1,000 profit, or is it? Has that changed much?
It's about £1,000. Okay, when you have a thing like I'm just renewing the HMO license now because it's been 5 years since 2019. That's kind of quite a big chunk of money that's going to come out. So we might all reduce our income for a couple of months, even though I do keep a buffer, just in case. But yeah, we're making at least 900 a month, so it hasn't reduced that much, and that's fine.
So
no problem.
It's interesting that it's still producing the same sort of number in terms of pounds, but of course, as a percentage of the value of the property, that means it's gone down quite a lot.
Yeah.
Do you look much at sort of return on investment or yield type figures, or are you're not too worried as long as there's some profit in there somewhere?
Yeah, so that one, that initial one, I didn't look at return on investment because I didn't put anything in. So
Yes,
everything is
fair enough.
basically free money. The new one, all our figures, yes, we do look at return on investment, and it will work. It's just,
Well,
you just got to approach it in a different way. And also
what,
this new one, because it will just belong to our company, we're not taking a management charge. And that's probably the difference, because the
yeah.
management percentage is 13%. And I know that sounds high, but believe you
No,
me,
that's low for an HMO. Yeah.
there is so much work for an HMO, really a lot. So, but that's on 2,300, that's like about 280-ish pounds a month, which now, so that will go into the company. That'll be part of the profit now.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, it just somehow does work. So we're lucky.
Well, so I mean, you're investing in the Southeast, which is, I think, got quite a name for being difficult at the moment.
Yeah.
Because of the increase in cost, the increased interest rates, etc. So what do you consider a return on investment that works in the Southeast?
The thing is we always borrow the money, even now. We've got a chunk of our own money that we'll use, say we'll use it for the deposit, but then we're borrowing the rest. So, but for an HMO, while we still now we don't joint venture, we just do angel financing now.
Yeah.
And for an HMO, especially an HMO in Crawley, I want about £800 profit, and that's after that's into the company after having paid the angel money and that. And so I don't go so much on return on investment, because it's tricky because of all the different moving parts. But that's what we do.
Yeah, that's fair
And
enough. That's fair enough.
yeah, and that's how it works for us. So I must admit, we've been struggling to find deals. We're busy buying one in Nottingham right now, and we've put in about 3 offers in Crawley in the last month. This latest one, we don't know. We'll see. But it looks like people are just buying them up very quickly in
That's what I was
Crawley.
going to say. What do you think is making it difficult to find the deals? And you say people are buying them quickly. From what I see in the data, properties are taking a long time to sell. Is that not your on the ground experience?
No, maybe it's just the type of property that we're looking at. But we just sold one that completed the 1st of July, and I suppose that was it was a 4-bed HMO actually, but it was a complicated joint venture. So we just thought, let's just get rid of it, because I'm also thinking of inheritance tax planning, and it's just complicated, all of that. But it took a long time to find the buyer, but it was sort of December, and then I don't know, the offer was accepted probably in about March, April, or about April. Yeah. So that from December till April, until we accepted an offer. But I mean, another one we've got on the market now, we've got an offer. We just busy. The number is right. We're quite happy to accept the number, but he doesn't have his finances in place, and he's got a place to sell, and so the conditions are wrong. So we're just waiting to see. But I mean, maybe the properties we're looking at, that the numbers work, everybody else does the same and thinks, well, they're working. We're seeing a couple more on the weekend, so who knows? Watch the space.
Indeed. Yeah. I think that's a good optimistic note to end on. You're out there looking for properties and still finding that property investment is working for you.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I think that there's a big rumor around that property investment is dead and it can't possibly work in the current environment. So I think it's good to disagree with that.
I mean, you absolutely, you look harder, but you absolutely can find deals out there. Totally. So
Fantastic.
I would still carry on.
Excellent. So thank you very much to everyone listening. I hope you've enjoyed this sort of slightly different sort of follow-up episode from last week. Please do let me know what you think of the different sort of episode formats. You can reach me on show@thebusinessofproperty.com. I know that Pam is available to be contacted on Facebook if anyone would really like to get in touch. And I think Pam, you were at one point doing some sort of mentoring and coaching type things. You still doing those, or?
Oh, yes, I am still doing mentoring and coaching. Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. So there you go. If you like what Pam's been saying, and you think this is definitely a time when property investment can still work, and you want to get Pam's input on anything you're considering, then follow the link in the show notes, and you'll be able to get in touch with Pam. So thank you again for joining me for the last couple of episodes, Pam. It's been fantastic to have these conversations and to learn from your vast experience.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Simon. It's been lovely.
Cool. And for everyone else listening, I will be back again next week.